make some chocolate cake today. I had somebody ask me if I had a good cake recipe, so of course I do. So we're going to start with 2 1/4 cups of flour. We want to get all our dry ingredients into the mixer first. And we're going to add in 3/4 cup of unsweetened cocoa powder, 1 3/4 cups of sugar. No one ever said cake is actually good for you. It's got a lot of oil and sugar and stuff in there, but it tastes good. 2 teaspoons baking soda and 1 teaspoon of salt. So that's all of our dry ingredients. Oh, did not come out of my bowl. Just gonna mix these together a little bit. And then we're gonna be adding in our wet ingredients. Doesn't matter what order you put them in. I have, let's see, 1 1/2 teaspoons vanilla extract. Maybe it does matter which order. I should go in the order of my recipe. I have 3/4 cup of oil and 3 eggs. I'm just going to add in my wet ingredients slowly, one at a time, let that mix in. And this recipe calls for buttermilk, but if you don't have buttermilk, you can just make regular milk sour with some vinegar or lemon juice inside. So I have 1 1/2 cups of milk that I've just added some vinegar to. And you want to make this mix together nicely. There's no lumps in it. So we're probably going to have to mix this for a couple of minutes. And don't forget to scrape your bowl a couple of times along the bottom to make sure you're getting all of your ingredients. So we're going to mix this up and I'll let you know what that looks like. Alright, we've been mixing our batter for about 2 minutes, medium to low. And it's nice and smooth. I had to scrape the bottom of my bowl a few times to make sure that there was no flour on the bottom. And I've got my 2 these are about 9-inch cake pans. I have them lined with parchment paper on the bottom. I find it so much easier to get the cake out afterwards like that. And I've also greased them, spray them, and then often with cake you would put flour in the pan as well so the cake doesn't stick. But because I'm doing a chocolate cake, I did it with cocoa powder instead of flour so that it's dark. Alright, so come take a look at the batter. It's nice and smooth. This is a very nice cake recipe. It's very similar lightness and fluffy to just your boxed cake mixes that you can buy. It's so hard to find a nice cake recipe that actually is not heavy. So we're going to pour this into our pans. If you overlap your pans and you pour it like this, it should actually go fairly even between the 2 pans. So I'm going to get this in my pans, and then we're going to put this in the oven, 350 degrees for about 30 minutes until the cake comes out clean in the middle with our toothpick. Okay, while our cake is in the oven, and before I clean everything up, I was going to whip up my whipping cream. I decided not to do icing. Icing can be quite sweet on a cake, so I'm going to try to do a variation of like a Black Forest type cake. So we're going to put whipping cream on the outside. So you can get, I have 500 ml of whipping cream, and I got about a tablespoon of instant vanilla pudding and a couple of tablespoons of sugar. And you want to mix that in with your whipping cream, and that instant pudding will help keep your whipping cream a little bit stiffer so it doesn't flatten so easy. So you'll want to whip this up until it's all nice and fluffy. It takes a few minutes in your mixer, and we're going to put that in the fridge and keep it set aside until we need it later. Cakes are out of the oven. Make sure you always check that your toothpick or your skewer comes out clean before you remove them. So mine was in the oven for 40 minutes for this cake. They are a little bit cracked on the top, but you know what? That's okay. We're going to be cutting the tops off anyways to make it level for when we assemble the cake. So I'm going to let these cool for 10 minutes in the pan, and then I'm going to pull them out of the pan and put them on the racks to cool completely. Cakes have cooled. And I've sliced off the tops of the cakes because otherwise it's all mounded. You want to be able to layer your cakes. So I've just used my big kitchen knife and I've sliced across. I also went out and bought more whipping cream because I don't think the 2 cups was going to be enough. So I have more in my mixer there that we'll use up later because I want to be able to put whipping cream in the middle as well. I had forgotten about that. So about half of my first batch, I'm going to put my whipping cream in the middle. And then I'm also going to put cherry pie filling in here because it's going to be kind of like a Black Forest cake. It's not a real Black Forest cake because I think the real ones actually have liquor in there. but I'm just going to do it with the whipping cream and the cherry pie filling in the middle. And I took some of my cherry pie filling out so I make sure I have some for on top of the cake as well, so it looks nice when it's done. I'm just going to spread this in here, and I'm going to put my second layer on top. This part doesn't have to look pretty, and it'll probably ooze out a little bit. We can clean that up when we're doing the whipping cream on the side of the cake. And I've got the top off of my other. This is my favorite, kids' favorite part, was a cake that they could eat after before I served my cake. So we're going to put this one on upside down so that the top is nice and flat. And just sandwich that together. And then we're going to use the rest of the whipping cream. We're going to decorate. We're going to do the sides and the tops. I'll show you what that looks like when it's done. All right, here you have it. I've never claimed to be a cake decorator. So there's our mock Black Forest cake. And here is the recipe if you would like to give this cake a try. It also makes, I think it's 24 cupcakes. So try it out.